put him back.
The tyre warmers are back on.
The tyre they're there, obviously worried about the weather as well, that it might dry up.
No, of course, because you've got the they've left the front tyres in. Obviously, they haven't done that many laps on the rear. I think with Lorenzo they may have popped in a new rear. Depends if you had any left from your allocation. If you did, the teams can put a brand new slick in the back.
It looked like Johnny Hernandez and Alex De Angelis going down together there.
Yeah, definitely Johnny Hernandez, and we saw Alex De Angelis. That's an incident down at turn number 6. Oh, that's a fast crash going through turn number 6.
Almost 7 there, isn't it? That is quick.
Even in the rain, that's a fast crash. Back at the front, Lorenzo. Marc Marquez has quickly got back onto the back wheel of Jorge Lorenzo. Valentino Rossi on that last lap, the quickest man of the top 3. Rossi was 0.8 seconds faster than Lorenzo. The Italian now 2.5 seconds back of that fight for second place and the victory. Rossi now within 2 seconds. He's gone through the first split, 1.9 seconds. Oh, that was Johnny Hernandez lost control of his Pramac Ducati, and poor old Alex De Angelis, he was the innocent victim in that particular incident coming through turn number 6.
This is the stage is set for Valentino Rossi, isn't it? It appears he runs everything in this part of the world. It appears he may even be running the weather, doesn't it?
If you'd have said on the last lap of the Moto2 race that this was going to be a wet race, you'd have been laughed out of the paddock, wouldn't you? I mean, nobody could see these rain conditions coming. Let's have a look at the gap now between still 1.9 seconds between Marquez and Valentino Rossi. There is that gap progression. Valentino Rossi's picked up 0.6 seconds through those first 2 splits. The 36-year-old using all of his experience, just as he did 2 weeks ago in those tricky conditions at the British Grand Prix. It's coming down again.
It's coming down all the time, and the weather's changing as well. Lorenzo leads from Marquez, but everybody in Italy is now on their feet. Rossi is on the charge in 3rd place, and there's still 17.5 laps to go, and they're telling Marquez exactly what the situation is.
And you've got the mechanics lined up again with the bikes, especially in Yamaha. They are waiting. I think they are expecting a judgment call relatively soon, because right now in pit lane there's practically no rain.
Rossi's right there. Now Marquez thought about a move up the inside of Lorenzo at that second corner. Lorenzo just held for Marquez again. Oh, just thought he might have a nibble down the brakes into the 4th corner by Lorenzo. But there is Valentino Rossi coming right back into victory contention here in Misano. He's now down to 1.2 seconds. He's half a second now. He's found another 7/10 in that first sector. Rossi, as we said, he's right in this hunt now.
Down toward turn 8 they come. This is where Marquez made the mistake a couple of laps ago, and Lorenzo retook the lead. Marquez closing up. Everybody at Misano is going absolutely crazy. They're urging on the local boys in 3rd place, but in these conditions he is closing all the time. He is the master of the wet, as we saw at Silverstone. We're back with Marc Marquez through turn 10.
Jorge Lorenzo looking to protect that great record he has here in Misano. Never finished outside of the top 2. Still lots of rain spots on the camera lens as they go through that turn number 11. Lorenzo and Marquez just pulled up a bit of a gap again on Valentino Rossi. It's stretched out to 0.7 seconds in that second sector. They're coming up to the 3rd split now. Rossi's pulled it back again now on Marquez. He's now within half a second. He's within striking distance of Marc Marquez, who continues to pile the pressure on Lorenzo. Can't find a way through yet though on the number 99 through the final corner. Tension building in the Yamaha garage. So much at stake as they come to complete lap number 12.
16 laps to go, another epic race. Marquez again thought about getting up this side. Rossi now is right with them. The crowd are blowing him on. They're pushing him on. We ride with Valentino Rossi. Lorenzo and Marquez in front of him as they come up to 4 and 5. Then down middle. Turn 8 could move. Is he close enough?
Valentino Rossi 1.1 seconds faster on the previous lap than the 2 men in front of him. He's streets ahead in terms of lap pace at the moment is the 36-year-old. There he is behind Lorenzo and Marquez down through that fast kick turn number 7. Is he going to move on the inside of Marquez at turn number 8? You can still see the rain falling down here at turn number 8. Rossi not close enough to strike against Marquez at that particular point. Through this double right-hander now, 9 and 10.
9 and 10 onto this long back straight with that frighteningly fast turn 11. Here is a Rossi, he's got right with them. Will he bide his time? The crowd going absolutely crazy. Lorenzo still leads the way. The rain still pours down as they come through the Cavoni corner. Is there some dry lines there? I don't think there is at the moment.
No, Nick, it is dry. Here in pit lane, there is no rain. There's no rain whatsoever down the main straight.
Tell you what, Nick, your eyes, they weren't deceiving you there, because that was a clear, distinct dry line emerging through turn 11 and turn 12. Are these riders at some point in this race going to have to make a second change back to their slick shot?
They are starting Roy's bike, sorry Matt, they are starting Lorenzo's bike, they are starting Rossi's bike.
What train? Just could not be closer. They are, the two Yamahas, they are ready. They're back with the dry setup. They started with a dry setup. They came in, they changed the bikes to the wet setup. Now it's drying out. What else can be thrown at them?
Well, it's in out, shake it all about at the moment, isn't it? Valentino Rossi still in third place. Lorenzo, you can just see there is a slight dry line just appearing on lap number 14. They crossed the line last time. Rossi was still 3/10 behind Lorenzo.
Guys, the dummy is the test dummy is Claudio Corti. He's just gone from wets onto slicks. Claudio Corti.
Wow, he's the first one then to make the move. Claudio Corti has made the move. Here is Rossi. I'm sure he would have wanted that rain to continue. Why Lorenzo must be thinking, thank you.
Loris Baz, his teammate, has also followed suit now on slicks, so definitely keep an eye on those guys.
So there can't be many flag-to-flag races where the riders have gone out on slicks, changed to wets, then come back in yet again for another bike change. Back at the front is still Lorenzo. Marquez up the inside of Jorge Lorenzo at turn number 10. Marquez has got the inside line, but
he got the drive out of the corner, didn't he? And Valentino Rossi moves into second place behind Jorge Lorenzo. Rossi up into second place. When are they going to make the move? They're back into the pits. Rossi thinks about getting up the inside. And here they come into turn 14. Marquez on the outside, Rossi on the inside. Lorenzo still leads the way.
I don't know whether Marquez missed a gear there or whether he just thought, I'm going to see what these two Yamahas do. Are they going to come into the pits? I don't want to be leading. I'll let the Yamahas make the decision for me. Lorenzo and Rossi, they're going round for another lap on these wet tyres. They're coming to complete lap number 14. Valentino Rossi now the main challenger for Jorge Lorenzo.
14 laps to go. Rossi closes up at turn 1. Marquez, I think you're probably right, says, right, let's see what you guys think of the conditions. I'll hang with you. And you guys make the decision when to come in. Yeah, he has a good look behind him, didn't he?
Yeah, he did have a good look behind him there. I wasn't sure if maybe he'd just missed the gear, but he had a clear look. Just to see where Rossi was, where Lorenzo was. Lorenzo still leads the way though. Valentino Rossi in second place.
Down through turn 7, turn 8 coming up. Rossi very close indeed. Rossi thinks about going up the inside. When is that decision going to be made? Dylan, how is it in pit lane?
Guys, loads of activity now. You look down. Marquez's bike still has the tyre warmers on. They have a little bit of luxury as being able to, they're further down pit lane. So if the Yamahas enter, they still have time to get the tyre warmers up. The Yamahas are the first ones in pit lane. They don't quite have that luxury. Danny Pedrosa's bike ready, but most of the guys here are now ready to hop back onto dries. Scott Redding in, Jack Miller back in. They're going to be switching back.
Is that a bit of a moment there for Valentino Rossi, or am I imagining things?
The Yamaha gets much better drive than Marc Marquez coming out of that turn 10 now onto the back straight. Here's Danilo Petrucci on the podium last time out at the British Grand Prix, and another great fourth place at the moment ahead of Danny Pedrosa and Pol Espargaro. Back with the leaders. What's going to happen? Is Lorenzo going to come back into the pits for the second time? Rossi will base his decision entirely on what Lorenzo does. Lorenzo's going round again.
Yeah, and I'm absolutely certain Marquez will wait and make that decision as well. Runs him a little bit further down, try and sort things out. So it's Petrucci, and there is Danny Pedrosa running in 5th place, and they're still out there. Dylan, they've got to come in soon, haven't they?
Well, do you know what? It's ultimately, it's very easy for us to say because there's a drying line. But if they're still doing times they feel are comfortable, it's got to be down to them. But you'd imagine one, maybe two more laps, and then back in. Obviously, the mechanics down here, they are really earning their money today because they essentially every time they go past the pit lane have to get the tyre warmers back on, stop the bike when they come back round the reverse. So no, frantic activity down here.
Down towards turn 7, there are 12 and a half laps to go here at Misano. An amazing round 13 of the MotoGP World Championship. Lorenzo trails Valentino Rossi by 12 points in the championship. He leads the way. He would cut that down to 7 points if it remains the same, but with the weather, with Marc Marquez there, who knows what is going to happen in this last 12 and a half laps.
Yeah, and as this track continues to dry, these wet tyres will just continue to overheat. They'll start turning to jelly. It'll be like riding on marbles. It looks like Marc Marquez is having some rear grip issues already on this drying track. He slipped almost a second now behind Valentino Rossi in second place.
There's Pol Espargaro running in 6th place behind Danilo Petrucci and Danny Pedrosa. Good ride by Pol Espargaro. His teammate Bradley Smith's had a bit of a disaster, stayed out on those slick tyres probably a little bit too long.
Well, guys, another factor is it's starting to drizzle again. So whilst you say, yes, the riders might want to come in a drying line, bear in mind the effect this is going to have on their visor. And of course, if you're on slicks and it starts drizzling again on an already damp track, that could be even more dangerous. So it's do you know what? It is just such a gamble.
Valentino Rossi is Lorenzo, and Valentino Rossi has taken the lead here in front of 92,000 passionate fans. Lorenzo fights back, they almost touch.
Oh, Rossi wipes Lorenzo's nose through turn number 2. The Italian leads. Listen to the noise of those 92,000 fans. You can barely hear yourself think in the commentary box here. Rossi at the front on lap number 17. Now, can he make a crucial break? Look at that dry line that's appearing now as they come through turn number 6. These top 3, don't forget, are on rain tyres. Rossi is making a real burst away at the front from Jorge Lorenzo.
Are they going to come in? When are they going to come in? Dylan, we've seen plenty of dry lines on the screen.
One of the theories with the wet tyre is actually when you know it's drying out, turn down the traction control even more. Try and get rid of the profile, because then you end up with a kind of a semi-slick, and that's going to give you that little bit more speed before you actually get into a pit lane.
Yeah, another staggering performance. Oh, Jacopo Agostini, 15 times world champion. He bought Yamaha that very first 500cc world title. I don't think Lorenzo's done for yet, but the weather is going to be crucial in this particular battle.
Look at that lap there. They tried to put in, but Loris Basby knows back out on slick tyres. He's almost 9 seconds faster than the race leader, Valentino Rossi. So that is the differential in speed of these guys that have come back in for a second bike swap back to their slicks. There is number 76, Loris Baz. He is on slick tyres and 9 seconds quicker than that top 3 group who are still out on wets. Lap number 17 here in Misano.
Loris Baz, there you go. Rear tyres, softer option. Slick tyres, been in twice to change. Rossi still leads the way from Lorenzo. Yes. What must be going through their minds, these riders out the front? What are they thinking? They're trying to work out. Oh, they're telling Jorge Lorenzo to come in. They're telling Jorge Lorenzo to come in on the next lap. Stay with us. This is going to be one hell of a last 11 laps here at Misano.
Is Lorenzo going to heed the warning of his team?
So Lorenzo is going to come in. Lorenzo maybe will Valentino Rossi come in as well. 10 and a half laps to go here in Italy. The weather playing a big part. The two Yamahas, the fight we wanted, they're out at the front.
Here's Aleix Espargaro looking up at the skies. He doesn't know what the weather's going to do. Now, Lorenzo's been told to pit in by his factory Yamaha team, but will he do it? Because Valentino Rossi, surely Lorenzo's got to make his choice based on what Valentino Rossi decides to do. The two factory Suzukis back in pit lane. They're switching back to their slick shod GSX RRs as Valentino Rossi comes through turn number 11. He's up by over half a second. Marc Marquez really struggling to run the pace of these two Yamahas. Marquez has slipped back by almost 2 seconds.
It's decision time for the two riders that lead the World Championship on the Yamahas. Dylan, near there in pit lane.
Yeah, it's not raining. They shouldn't have any drops on their visor. You'd imagine they'd come in.
Look at the front tyre, Valentino Rossi. It's completely shredded. Sorry, then you can just see chunks of rubber coming off of Rossi's front tyre. He stayed out. Rossi has not come into the pits. Valentino Rossi, his crew look on.
Marquez is in.
Marquez is in on the Honda, but the two Yamahas have stayed out. Marquez in, Rossi and Lorenzo continue. How long can they continue? We saw the rubber coming off Valentino Rossi's tyres. Just telling Marc Marquez, be calm. Great change of points. Marquez back out there. Who knows? We just don't know what's going to happen with the weather, but time is running out. Just what must be going through Rossi and Lorenzo as well. It's probably easier for Lorenzo in many ways because he is not going to make a decision until the man at the front does, is he? Well, that didn't work in, did it? Didn't take any notes of that one.
He has to base his decision on what Valentino Rossi's doing.
Yeah.
You know, they are the two that are fighting for this World Championship. Marc Marquez, he can gamble. He's come back in to change back to his slick shod bike. What it means is that Danilo Petrucci at the moment is heading for a second successive MotoGP podium finish because he is up into third. Danny Pedrosa in fourth.
And of course, Valentino Rossi, in a way, you know, it's obviously harder for him to adjust because he has Lorenzo behind him. But, you know, essentially, he's only racing Lorenzo because to him, it doesn't really matter if Marquez wins as long as he's ahead of Lorenzo.
No, absolutely right. But obviously wants to win. Fascinating, just absolutely brilliant. Turn 14 and those 12, are there dry lines? Is he going to come in?
He's just looked. He had a look to see where Lorenzo was. I think he's thinking about coming in. Has he built up a big enough lead? What Rossi's probably thinking is, I need to be a couple of seconds clear of Lorenzo before I do come in. He's gone round again. Rossi has stayed out. He's built up a lead now of almost 2 seconds over Jorge Lorenzo.
And Lorenzo will not make a move until Rossi does. He will wait. Now, can we throw Marc Marquez in there? He's now out on the slick tyres. And as you say, the lap times on the slick tyre boys, Lawrence Baz and Brandy Smith in particular, you know, must indicate that you should come in, but, you know, he's holding the advantage.
Petrucci back in. He was running in third place, Danilo Petrucci. What Valentino Rossi might be thinking is he needs to just have a buffer ahead of Jorge Lorenzo so that when he does come into the pits, he'll be able to change his bike and get back out onto the track clear of Lorenzo. He doesn't want risking any change of position because look at Rossi. He is absolutely blitzing away from Jorge Lorenzo. It's almost half the length of that back straight down into turn number 8 for the first time in this race. 8.5 laps to go. Jorge Lorenzo trails Valentino Rossi by over 2 seconds.
Bradley Smith is absolutely flying. He's now in his 7th place. His tyre choice and when to come in. Wow. Well, the biggest choice has got to be made by this man. He looks behind once again. He wants to know where Lorenzo is. He's probably having a look at the big screens as much as he can as well, just to work out. You do imagine he is going to have to come in at some point. How's the weather, Dylan?
Yeah, he doesn't want to make the bike change, Valentino, and risk being overtaken by Jorge Lorenzo. He had another good long look over his shoulder. I'm sure he'll have another look at the big screens now as he comes through turn number 14. Are we going to see Valentino Rossi now come into the pits? Rubber flying off the front tyre also of Jorge Lorenzo. Surely they can't carry on these wet Bridgestone tyres on this drying track.
Here is Marc Marquez, who is out on the slick tyres.
No, Rossi stayed out. He stayed out.
Thank you, Dylan. Here is Marc Marquez.
Lorenzo's in.
Oh, right. Lorenzo in. Lorenzo's obviously thinking, right, I've got to go for it now. I've got to take that. Jorge Lorenzo is in. Quickly swaps over to the bike with the slick tyres. He started with that bike. He then had to switch to the bike with the wets, and now he's back out with the slick.
And interestingly enough, they have switched to the medium front tyre. Do you remember they were on the hard beforehand? Well, they know in these cooler conditions, so now got a medium front in there.
I cannot believe that Valentino Rossi will not come in in on the next lap now. He's obviously had a look at the screen.
Yeah, look at this.
He obviously knows.
Marc Marquez is out on slick tyres. He's almost 10 seconds faster than Valentino Rossi. Rossi, as he left it too late, it was a big gamble by the World Championship leader. Bradley Smith now is up into the podium places. He's 11 seconds faster than Valentino Rossi. Everybody now has come in for a second bike swap, apart from the race leader Valentino Rossi. Surely Rossi is going to have to come in this time. He's giving up way too much time compared to those riders on slicks. He's been told before, box by his team. He comes through turn 11. He has to come in this time, surely.
What a big decision this is for the 36-year-old Italian. Here he is through the Cavoni corner, coming down now through turn 12, 13. He must know that that rubber is pouring off his front tyre, ripping into the rubber on the drying surface, wet weather tyres. We're about to find out if he is going to go in.
Yeah, he's going to come in surely, because he's only 7 seconds clear of Marc Marquez. He has no choice, Valentino Rossi, but to come into the pits. Is it one lap too late though? Because now what this means is we'll have a podium of Marc Marquez, Bradley Smith, possibly Loris Paz. Rossi in the pits though.
Rossi in. Has he timed it right? Has he timed it wrong? Marc Marquez now leads the race. Marc Marquez, you've got to say, made the choice well. Rossi is back out with the bike with the slicks. There is 7 laps to go.
Oh, what's this? Is that Lorenzo? Jorge Lorenzo has crashed. I thought that was a factory Yamaha. Drama in the MotoGP World Championship. Disaster for Lorenzo. He's crashed out of the Misano Grand Prix. Huge moment in the 2015 MotoGP World Championship. Lorenzo out of the race.
Jorge Lorenzo out. Valentino Rossi. Whoa, that is a big crash coming through turn 15 for Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo out of the race. Where is Rossi going to find himself now? I'm sure they're going to tell him that Lorenzo is out. Marquez surely is going to win the race. Boy, we're going to have Bradley Smith and Loris Paz. Lorenzo out. The team are telling Valentino Rossi that could be the moment of the World Championship.
What an incredible moment for Jorge Lorenzo. He was pushing on those slick tyres. It would have been his first flying lap. Big crash at turn number 15. It's been so many twists and turns in this MotoGP World Championship so far this year. That was another huge swing back to Valentino Rossi. What it means is this man we're riding with now, Bradley Smith, is in second place behind Marc Marquez, and Loris Paz, he is on the podium in third position. He had a couple of podium finishes here in World Superbikes last year. He'd have got pretty long odds on him being on the podium here today. But what drama. Rossi's going to see the board for the first time out. He'll see Lorenzo out.
Here's Bradley Smith running in second place. He got a glimpse very briefly there of Loris Paz, one of the very early riders back in to change back to the slick tyres. Scott Redding in fourth place. Valentino Rossi, well, let's see where he's going to come across the line. But the big news that is Lorenzo is out of the race, and he'll just pick up some World Championship points. He's in fifth place. He won't be too disappointed. 23 points then would be the advantage for Valentino Rossi. He left it late to come, and it may have not been the right decision, but he's vindicated. Of course, Lorenzo was back out there on the slick tyres when he crashed.
Jorge Lorenzo never finished outside of the top 2 here in Misano. He's finished this race in the gravel, and with his World Championship hopes hanging by a thread, here's Marc Marquez. He is going to potentially take a first ever MotoGP victory here in Misano. There's his father Julian. Calm down, Marc, calm down. Marquez in as those wet tyres but deteriorating grip in the dry. He was really struggling to run that pace of Rossi and Lorenzo. Here we go, we're on board with Lorenzo, turn 15.
Yeah, it's the left-hander coming up now after the series of rights. Oh, big crash for Jorge Lorenzo. Turn 15, he'd just gone out on the slick tyres, and
well, with that crash, as he rolls through the gravel, that's a massive blow for Lorenzo's World Championship hopes. Masahiko Nakajima on the right-hand side of your screen there, the Yamaha boss. He knows what a massive moment that was in terms of the championship. Marc Marquez has started lap number 24 with 5 laps to go. Marquez, Bradley Smith and Loris Baz on the podium. Scott Redding heading for what would be a career best fourth. In fact, Scott Redding could be heading for the podium because he's only 1.6 seconds behind Loris Baz, and Redding on that previous lap almost 3 seconds quicker than Baz. We could have 2 riders, 2 British riders on the MotoGP podium here today in Misano.
There's Marquez, followed by Smith. So Smith stayed out, didn't he, quite a long time on the slick tyres early on before he came and changed to wet.
Yeah, he essentially spent very, very little time on the wet tyre, probably some of the fewest laps of everyone out there.
Here's Redding now closing right up on Loris Baz. This is the battle for third place. As you can see, Baz desperately trying to hold on to what would be an unbelievable career first MotoGP podium. There is Scott Redding. Don't forget, Scott Redding has crashed out of this race early on, didn't he? Or was that in the... he was,
Yes, he did.
There's so much has happened.
Keeping track of everything. Dylan, you've done a great job. You've kept us sane here, I think, with exactly what's going on. It does look like almost inevitable that Scott Redding is going to take third place. There's 4.5 laps to go. What a great result for Scott Redding. Forget the conditions. You take advantage of the conditions that are thrown at you. They've obviously made some very, very good decisions. Marc Marquez, Bradley Smith. Bradley Smith crosses the line, less than six seconds down on Marc Marquez. He's in a very, very safe second place. And Marquez chasing that first ever victory in the MotoGP class. And the big news here, 1, the weather, and 2, the crash of Jorge Lorenzo. And here comes Redding.
Redding up the inside of Loris Baz at turn number 2. That's the battle for third place. It's Scott Redding there now who takes over. He scored a career best 6th place finish last time out at his home Grand Prix at Silverstone. Is he going to take a career first Premier Class podium here in Misano? He's been much quicker than Loris Baz over these last couple of laps. Back with the race leader Marc Marquez, who's a pretty comfortable 5.8 seconds clear of Bradley Smith. In fact, the lead now between Marquez and Smith up to just over 6 seconds.
Dylan's probably going to come on now and tell us it's starting to rain again.
No, don't jinx it. No, I've spoken enough about the weather today. It's dry. Let's leave it at that.
What a remarkable race. Choice of when to come in, circumstances. And then, when all that had been done, you've got to say, and they were out on the slick tyres, it's Lorenzo that made the big mistake.
He did make the mistake. He lost the rear, didn't he, going into this turn number 15. We thought he might have lost the front. It actually looked like the rear just came round at him in the braking zone before turn number 15. Here's Marc Marquez then, coming to complete lap number 25. 3 laps to go. He's going to be around 6 seconds clear of Bradley Smith in second place. Smith on course for what would be only his 2nd Premier Class podium finish. He was 3rd at the Phillip Island Grand Prix in Australia last October.
And safely away now, the battle for 5th between Rossi and Petrucci. Petrucci, he didn't want to get near Valentino Rossi in Silverstone, didn't he? I don't know if he wants to do that now. Rossi would have wanted to win, but he's increased his lead in the World Championship. And you've got to say, he can fix most things here, and he must have fixed the weather because he really did fancy Jorge Lorenzo to win this race in the dry. And we sort of lost now. It started in the dry, didn't it? Then we had the wet, then it went back to the dry. That's right. Lorenzo was piling on the pressure in the dry, wasn't he, before the rain started to fall.
Yeah, I think we've had a season's worth of drama in the opening 26 laps of this race here in Misano. There's Iannone, the 2 factory Ducatis of Iannone and Dovizioso. This is a battle for 7th place. Alessia Spargo's also involved in there, so is a Catroccio.
There you go, there's Alessia Spargo. Early man in, wasn't he, to change back to the slicks. He made that early decision. I mean, it's very hard. It's sorted out a bit now. You can work out exactly what's happening. But at one point I looked down the timing screen, Bradley Smith, I think, was 18th. And it just completely changes making those decisions. And I think, as you said, Dylan, he was a man that spent the least time actually on the wet weather tyres.
No, exactly. I think the stroke of genius from the riders essentially wasn't really so much when they switched onto the wet or anything. It was more those that came in early for the dry.
Yeah, perhaps Valentino Rossi. You'll be happy. 5th place for Sue Valentino Rossi, but perhaps he'd been coming in a little bit earlier. Marc Marquez came in earlier, didn't he? And you saw what happened to him. He's running away with the race victory. Good battle between the two Ducatis here. Andrea and Andrea Vizioso.
Big moment for Iannone on the brakes going down into turn 16. Scott Redding has got a what looks like a pretty safe and solid 3rd place, a career first podium in MotoGP coming up for the number 45 because he's broken, massive moment on the brakes for Iannone. Redding has broken Loris Baz. He's 3.3 seconds clear of the Frenchman, who is by far the leading open class rider in this race. Valentino Rossi still in 5th place. Danilo Petrucci, though, he's not going to let him have it all his own way. It's a bit of a repeat, like you said, of Silverstone.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, he's not going to get in his way either, isn't he? No. They're good mates, and he just knows that, let's leave it. Bradley Smith, 2nd place, you'd say it would be his 2nd podium finish. He had a remarkable season, but even Bradley Smith, who's pretty optimistic, would have never guessed that he is going to finish on the podium here at Misano.
Yeah, I think if Danilo Petrucci wants to save passage out of this Misano circuit, he'll sit behind Valentino Rossi.
Here's Marc Marquez, 1 lap to go. Brilliant ride by Marquez, brilliant tactical ride by, you say him in the team, but it's the riders that make the decision. There's no radios in MotoGP. The riders and the riders only have to make these crucial decisions.
Bradley Smith about 2.5 miles away from his 2nd MotoGP podium. Scott Redding 2.6 miles away from what would be his 1st Premier Class podium. Scott Redding is now 5.3 seconds clear of Loris Baz. Here's Valentino Rossi coming through the final corner. It's going to be his 1st non-podium finish of the year, but still massive for his World Championship, with Jorge Lorenzo crashing out in this rain-affected race in Misano.
Here's Marc Marquez down through turn 7 now, coming down towards turn 8. I mean, look at the difference in the track conditions. What was that? 20 minutes ago?
There can't be any more drama, can there, surely? Marquez is going to take this victory by over 7 seconds from Bradley Smith.
So Marquez safely through. Surely now he's going to secure his 1st ever victory here at Misano in MotoGP. He has won here previously in 125 and Moto2. The team prepare for his arrival. Marquez has timed this to absolute perfection. Marc Marquez back to winning ways through turn 16. Marc Marquez wins here in Misano. The big loser though is Jorge Lorenzo. What a day for the British riders.
Bradley Smith crosses the line. Joy for the 24-year-old. 2nd place for Smith. And Scott Redding now comes through turn number 16. 2 British riders on a Premier Class podium here in Misano. Scott Redding 3rd. He crashed at the start of this race. He's on the podium. Valentino Rossi there coming through turn number 16. These are going to be priceless points for Rossi in the championship. Credit to Loris Baz. A magnificent career best 4th place from the Frenchman. Rossi over the line in 5th. Petrucci 6th. Rossi will be disappointed he wasn't on the podium, but in terms of the World Championship, it was huge, with his teammate Jorge Lorenzo, closest rival, crashing out of the race.
When we got up this morning and drove into the circuit, 6:45 this morning, the sun was coming up, wasn't it, over the Adriatic Ocean. We thought, what a